welcome back with another banger. It's the React Files. Hope you having a good night. Let's get straight to it.
Billy Carson here, aka Forbidden Knowledge. I'm here at Elephantine Island in the underground area under an amazing temple. This temple is one of the only ones in the world that has a place where it's set up just to hide an underground cave. And this cave, which you can see is amazing, used to house the Ark of the Covenant. They actually sat down here, and what's interesting about this is there's magnificent, massive pieces of granite that are housed down here to hide the signature from the energy emitted by the Ark. There's also the actual table or stone pillar that it used to sit on right here. Now the Ark is still here on the island, but it's been moved to another location where the energy signature is being dimmed so that nobody can find it.
There are moments in history where myth and reality collide, where the lines between faith and power blur into something far more dangerous. The Ark of the Covenant, an object of divine significance, yes, but also a tool of immense and terrifying force. And nowhere is that clearer than in the story of Jericho. Joshua, the leader of the Israelites, stood before a city fortified with walls so high, so impenetrable, that to think they would fall with nothing but the sound of horns seemed absurd. But Joshua knew something others didn't. The Ark wasn't just a symbol. It was something more, something alive with a power none of them could fully grasp. Joshua 6:6-7. So Joshua son of Nun called the priests and said to them, "Take up the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord, and have 7 priests carry trumpets in front of it." And he ordered the army, "Advance, march around the city, with an armed guard going ahead of the Ark of the Lord." For 6 days, the Ark circled Jericho in silence, with only the sound of footsteps and the occasional blast of trumpets piercing the air. The people of Jericho watched, uneasy, from behind their walls. On the 7th day, something changed. The priests sounded their horns one last time, and the ground beneath the city began to shake. With a final blast, the walls didn't just crack, they collapsed, crumbled into dust before the Israelites, as if they had never existed at all. And when the dust cleared, Jericho was theirs. But it wasn't a victory of strength, it was the Ark. The force it carried, the energy it radiated, leveled Jericho without so much as a single stone thrown.
Hey y'all, I know there's a lot going on, but Wyoming's on fire. The whole mountain is on fire. They have about 74,000 acres just burning right now, y'all. The animals are running out in the fire, y'all, looking just confused, y'all. Apparently this has been going on for days and there is no end to it. Like, they can't even contain the fire right now, y'all. They have all kinds of helicopters and firefighters, but they still cannot contain this fire. This is like, it's out of control. Here's what it looked like from another perspective, y'all. Look at those smoke clouds, boy. They're like still. Look at that. Y'all can't even see the mountains. You can't even see the mountains. And the people in Wyoming feel like they're not getting any coverage on this as well. Look, this is from Idaho. You can't see the mountains, y'all. Look at this. There's a hurricane on the Gulf Coast heading for Florida. There's a fire in Wyoming. The biolab in Georgia blew up. California's experiencing copious amounts of earthquakes, including last night. We have Hurricane Kirk out in the Atlantic Ocean, and then Leslie, that's actually making its way to Florida in 2 weeks, they say. The Sahara is flooding. I mean, am I missing anything else, y'all? Unexplained plasma, lightning, no sound strikes happening all over the world. Let me know what I'm missing down in the comments below, y'all. This is strictly for entertainment purposes only. Share this video, y'all. Let's get this shift. Peace in.
Shout out to Conscious Juice. Yeah, there's a lot going on. Luckily, Milton went over and there wasn't that much damage. Shout outs to Wyoming. First heard about this with Inspired by the King. Now we're getting a glimpse. It's always sad to see wildlife search for safety in a time of disaster. I'm just wondering how it gets so bad.
Hey, it's Glam. So I told you on September 9th there was a plane doing a strange pattern around western North Carolina. Not just any plane. a P-3 Orion owned by NASA that in their own words is extremely modified for airborne scientific research. On September 9th, that exact aircraft was supposed to be taking part in NASA's EDGE mission. By the way, I should mention, it appears that you can rent this plane. So I looked into recent flights prior to September 9th. All of them seem to be up in the Arctic, Greenland, Baffin Bay, basically pretty isolated and always straight flights from one location to another. So who did commission this flight on September 9th, 2024? And why were they doing this? If someone has the answer, let me know, because this is really haunting me. I'll see you in the comments. Take care.
Shout outs to Glam Ham Radio, diving deep into the flight logs. At this point, it's definitely $1 million question.
You got Wyoming fires. You got Walmarts with meat and milk and dairy. You got Florida hurricanes. And I guarantee you in the next day or two, we're going to hear something new that's popping up. This right here has direct correlation with what? A certain mineral in the ground that they found deposits of, and a word that we like to use known as eminent domain, which all has a direct correlation with this Albemarle, which, if you know, the vice president's husband is a major key contributor to this area from North Carolina. And during this time, we're having very weird flight patterns from something called NOAA, N0 or NOAA. Y'all remember a certain Bible passage? It would be as if it were in the days of Noah. Interesting how that lines up, almost like we're following the script. People, I'm trying to tell you that soon, definitely sooner than we think, especially off what Hillary Clinton saying this month, but I've been calling 2025. I've been calling. It's going to be like that. A shift, change in atmosphere. And we're following that script. The digital currency, which is lining up with the mark of the beast. And we have a couple truthers on here that are talking about the end of reality as we know it being 2025. A reset, you could say. Me, I think it'll be a technological one. But this, again, is all speculation and predictions. No one really knows. All I do know is that we are following something. William Cooper says we're following the Bible to a T. It's either the truth or they're using it for mass deception. I have to ask you a question. Which one do you think of the two that is?
I say a little bit of both. Shout outs to Toxic But True Reality.
Winds in the east, mist coming in. Like something is brewing, about to begin. Can't put me finger on what lies in store. I feel what's to happen. All happened before.
I've never seen this before. First time. What do you think it is? People say it's displacement from hurricane. But we're just in Costa Maya, so if these birds wanted to land, they would have stayed there. You know? So
do y'all normally see this many flying around at night? Like
the birds are dying while flying and falling on the ship. So basically these guys just fall down. Yeah. What were you saying? They're close to this day. Well, I mean, they're close to everything. They're all in there too. They don't.
But it's crazy because there's not many of them fall through.
What happened in here? Not normal. You've not seen this before. Yeah, I never seen like it. Too much work.
It's the moth too. But the moth. Oh, what is it? He's been like that for.
Shout outs to I Am Andrea D. Stuck on a cruise ship and birds start falling out the sky. Moths too. The staff was telling her they never seen it happen before. I feel bad for whoever has to clean it up.
Carson here, aka Forbidden Knowledge. We went out to Abydos today, and we're standing in the temple of Seti I. This is an amazing temple because in this temple, right above my head, is actually a depiction of technology, advanced technology. What looks like a helicopter, what might be a plane, a submarine, and a tank. This famous glyph had tried to been debunked by mainstream for years. They try to say that it's just an accident. However, in this temple, which is one of the most important temples in Egypt, there are no mistakes. And to prove the fact of this, when the king has an engineer come in to change the name to the next king, they don't want to see any mistakes in the temple. And if the artisan that created this made this mistake, that person would be killed, and then a new artisan would be hired to replace and fix the work that he didn't do properly. So the fact that this is here and has still remained here is telling us that this is specifically supposed to be there, and you can find it a couple more places in this same temple, but nowhere else throughout the entire Egypt. So that means this is a message being sent to us from the past to the future, letting us know that they had witnessed advanced technology in the ancient past. Billy Carson here, aka Forbidden Knowledge. We're on the rooftop of the megalithic structure known as the Temple of Dendera. And I'm standing right here with my beautiful wife in front of this amazing stargate, this Saba, as they would say in Egyptian. Now, this stargate doesn't look like the stargate from the movies. However, this shape or this design is known all over Egypt, actually all throughout the entire planet. And it's said that the ancients or the Naturu or these Anunnaki beings would walk up to them and they would put something inside of a notch just like this. And when they did that, it would vanish. There's these stargates all over the world, and they have the same shape. And even in the Sumerian tablets, there's an image of Enki walking through this same exact shaped stargate. They call it a Du-Ran-Ki, a bond heaven-earth that allowed him to walk from Earth to his home planet and back again.
Shout outs to Billy Carson on the scene at a stargate. That's crazy. I wonder if anybody's ever found them keys.
Well, this is actually a thing, and the timing is interesting. Dropped the 7th of October. We are under attack, people. Stop, and share. American Water pauses billing after cyber attack. And military installations as well. I'll show you a video, but I have to break it up because I'm not trying to get unoriginal content. But no one's talking about this at all. And it was on our news, which makes me believe you'll see.
The Environmental Protection Agency warned that cyber attacks against water utilities are becoming more frequent and more damaging nationwide. The agency is now urging systems to take immediate actions to protect the nation's drinking water, but officials said about 70% of utilities inspected by the EPA over the past year violated standards meant to prevent breaches or other intrusions. CBS News Homeland Security and Justice reporter Nicole Skanga.
Now, let me say that this is what they're telling us, okay? And they're making us aware of this. We were told to watch the waters, right? And now, Homeland Security, cyber attacks on our infrastructure, plus hurricane and lab fire. Yo.
To be with you. How do these malicious actors target water plants, and why are water plants vulnerable?
Yeah, here's the big question. Why are hackers going after U.S. drinking water? And what is the actual threat here that we're talking about? Cybersecurity.
Hackers.
The EPA has an answer, and it's something that cybersecurity experts have been screaming about for years. Now, because water utilities rely on computer software to remotely operate treatment plants and processing and distribution centers, IT protection is actually really key to water utilities.
Real quick, do you guys think this is hackers or
water utilities? And cyber hygiene is really important. So the EPA right now is shouting at water utilities who have been falling short in big ways. Failing to change default passwords, not cutting off access to the system for former employees. And that has real life implications. Interruptions to water treatment and storage, damage to pumps and valves. We've seen that, something we have not seen, but is a big concern.
Do I gotta say the quiet part out loud? Do you really believe this is hackers, or do you believe this is a swamp thing. Interesting, because this is on our mainstream media, and they want us to make us aware of it. I don't know what to believe right now. I'm gonna keep it real, because we know anytime the media talks about it, it's only this place of blame. Well, the ones that awake know. But what do you think? What the fuck?
American Water pauses billing after cyber attack. Shoutouts to Toxic But True Reality. The biggest red flags is having former employees still have access to the plan. Like, who does that?
I haven't posted on here in a while, and it's because I've been busy doing this.
60 years ago, John F. Kennedy famously said,
I speak of peace because of the new face of war.
And today, we once again speak of peace because of a new face of war. Fifth generation warfare, information warfare, the info war, if you will. And so our governments know that they must manufacture consent for these conflicts in this new war of information. And today, that is your social media feed. Your feeds have become the battlefield in the first line of this war that is designed to manufacture consent among the public. And you may think, I don't pay attention to the politics, I just watch cat videos, it's no big deal, they can't get to me. And I'm here to tell you that you cannot escape this conflict, because being distracted by cat videos is damn near as effective as being dissuaded by disinformation. Because the military-industrial complex that John F. Kennedy warned us all about, it does not exist on an island. And when you follow the money, you very quickly realize that the people that own Lockheed Martin and Raytheon, General Dynamics, all the rest of them, are BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, and all of the too big to fail mega banks that we've been bailing out for the last 30 years. Conveniently, they also all own each other. And then you start to think about it and you realize that these very same corrupt financial institutions that are the top owners of the war machine, they also are the top owners of Pfizer and of General Mills and of your car companies and of your water utility companies. They're even the top owners of all of the biggest funerary companies in America, so that when you have to bury the dead in their proxy wars that come home from abroad, they have a service for you. Shout out. All wars are bankers' wars. In a world of aligned incentives, it is highly profitable to all involved to keep you distracted, to keep you unhealthy, to keep you afraid, to keep you angry with one another. Because if you're not creating profit in that avenue, you're probably creating it in one of the other avenues. The information that manufactures the consent to allow this to keep on going on is the most important weapon in their arsenal. And without it, they can do nothing if we do not consent to this governance. I'm calling on you not to fight with weapons, but to stand and fight in this war with your words. And rather than manufacturing consent, we can manufacture peace. Not just peace for our people, but peace for all people. Not just peace in our time, but peace in all time. Thank you.
Read all about it. Kennedy and Trump. Extra, extra. Read all about it. Extra, extra. It's Kennedy and Trump making America healthy again.
Oh.
Extra, extra. Thank you. Read all about it.
Dick Kennedy endorses Trump. Dick Cheney endorses Kamala Harris.
Because there's really only two answers. And it really comes down to this election. Either the CIA and the military-industrial complex, the intelligence complex, is too powerful and is too many moves ahead, and they thwart this movement this year, and then, I worry we get relegated to fighting indefinitely against this oppressive state apparatus that is just infinitely powerful. But I don't think that's real. I don't think that's what's happening. I think that they're scrambling and doing everything in their power to try to hold this back, and that this movement has just absolutely checkmated the lies and the deception and the corruption. And I don't think there's any escaping it for them now. I think that this movement is clearly winning the presidency this time and only picking up momentum. And I think it's just a natural crack in the barrier, because all we've known for the last 30, 40, 50, 60 years is progressively worsening corruption. And the moment that you walk that back and start to do things for the people, then it's just, I think people can't even imagine the momentum that will build.
Freedom isn't free, folks.
Mate, how's it going? How's your family?
Oh, they're so lovely.
I think I saw one of your vehicles. Certainly, it's a lot of get.
Hey, do you have a moment to talk about our Lord and Savior, Kamala Harris? The IRS has endorsed her. She's going to save the country. She's going to do all the things that she hasn't done in the last 3.5 years to make America great again.
Shoutouts to Ian Carroll, aka canceled his clothing company. Man, this guy come a long way. Shoutouts to Bobby Bailey on making the film Rescue the Republic. Look like it's something that belongs on Netflix, if you ask me. Yeah, this right here can get real deep. Good to see.
Now, there is a school of thought that would say it's not that smart to walk around on the highway in the dark wearing black, but of course, I'm here at American Glass Research, and I have a feeling they don't want me to be here. I have no bad intentions, but I don't want to test it. And so, under the cover of darkness, I didn't even know what I'm doing here. I just was in Pittsburgh trying to check if Max Yerrick was dead or alive. And I figured we could come and look around and see what we see. Actually, one of the things I wanted to do is, I don't know why this is happening, but just recently it's come up again. This stupid notion of muzzle flash coming out of one of the first story windows. I thought we put this to bed, but you know, maybe it's social engineers. I don't know. The stories come back, and I just want to go over some of the key points to point out to people how there is no way that muzzle flash came out of the first story windows. Not the first window, not the second window. This is the Butler PA Farm Show Fairgrounds over there. We've got our infamous water tower in the distance. I'm not live right now for obvious reasons. Maybe not obvious. I don't always want to reveal my location, particularly in municipalities where the police probably, and George's asshole brother is constantly sending them messages about where I am and what I might be doing. Okay, so here we see one picnic table. I just walked in the front, and I think that is where we see a video of a guy who they tell us is crooks, but I don't think it is. We're going to have to number these various Thomas Crook's doppelgangers. Now, it's entirely possible that someone will tell me to get the hell out of here, which I will do if they ask me. It's also rainy and crappy. It's been, I guess, because of this hurricane, it's been raining for like 3 days. So it's difficult for me to orient myself here because I don't have an aerial view. But I guess if we see that building 6, I don't want to cross any fences that I'm not allowed to. But where are we? Where are we situated over here? We got another picnic table there. You see that? Oh, wow. So we're getting a little lesson in the photosensitivity. Obviously, we got a bigger opening on this lens. Maybe we'll stay on that one. All right, wow. Okay. So I think we've got some temporary fencing here that maybe wasn't there. Too bad the Secret Service didn't think of that. Now, we saw there were some people hanging around over here. Do we have any security cameras around American Glass Research? I don't know. It's the time of morning where the more I walk around, the more lights should come on. I think I'm getting further away from that building 9. It doesn't seem like this is where people were. That's the parking lot. This is a strange conglomeration of buildings. I guess Unsteady Dave was over here by the fence line. Got some trees there. As I said, I expect the sun to break any moment, so maybe it'll be clearer what's going on once that happens. And I don't know, maybe I would imagine all of this property is, here we are. I recognize those things. Okay, right, of course. So here's the first floor. This is exactly where I want it to be. Perfect. So yeah, Unsteady Dave is right over here by the fence. Notice, somebody should maybe go visit Unsteady Dave and give him a 3-axis gimbal for his birthday. I guess we gotta wait until next July. But here we have the windows in question, okay? And here we have the parking lot where the Butler County police officer, the one guy who captures the footage, both up on the roof. We got a lot of cars parked here. Are people working this early in the morning? I don't want to bother anybody. I have no bad intentions. But, okay. This is right where the car pulls up. That's going to be building 9, or what is it? Let's see if we can, might be too dark on this lens. I think we could see that. See, and also by not going live, I'm shooting in a high bitrate mode. There's somebody. So they might not like me being here. So let's do this quickly. The officer comes around this way. Okay, he runs around here. We see no interesting activity on window number 1. That's that window. Nothing that I noticed happens there. Window number 2 is where I see an infrared light for 1/5 of a second, 6 video frames. Window number 3 is where Unsteady Dave Stewart captures 2 headlights of an SUV, and we can tell that they are because somebody has a separate video of an SUV somewhere over there reflecting into this window. And you're going to remember from your own life, you've witnessed motion parallax. We can even see it right here. See things inside that window. Look at how much they move. I move a little bit, and things inside the room. You see that bright light behind the edge of the window pane? I'm taking one step, and that light appears. Let's do this carefully. See, there's a sliver of light. I move this way, and look at how dramatically it's moving across the window. That is motion parallax, because that light is deep within that room. I'm looking at the face of this building. So let's talk about stereoscopic depth perception. Let's say that building is about 100 feet away from me right now, and then the room is maybe 20 feet deep. So that light inside the room is 120 feet away from me. And the plane of the window, the glass, it's 100 feet away. So the difference of the 20 feet causes that motion parallax where the stuff inside the room appears to be moving much more. I hope people understand what I'm saying. The best demonstration of this is when you're in your car driving on the highway or something like that, and the little short fence next to the highway. Ah, there's a light reflecting. See that? Look at how much. I move a little bit. See how that's moving? So if I'm a police officer with a body camera, see that dot, that point dot on the window? Now it's darker here, but we can still see it. Look at how it moves. I'm moving a little. Look at how it moves relative to the window frame. Do we see it? Yes, because that is some light from over there. It's that bright light reflecting in this window, and I move a little bit, and it moves a lot. The infrared dot that I'm talking about, it stays glued to the pane of the glass. Let me do this like this. People can go extract 6 video frames here. You'll see. You move, that thing moves a lot. I don't even need to stick around here much longer. I've just shown what I'm talking about. There's certain things that are self-evident. I don't need to prove that the sky is blue. I don't need to prove that jumping off of the Empire State Building is likely to... It's self-evident. This is physics, optics, math, science. I don't need to prove these things. Now, the other thing people were interested in is where the hell was this thing, this image of crooks? Some wall with grass. So we know that Buddy Boy, what is it, Mike Merkel? They're up there in the 2nd floor, right over here, right above this building, right? So I guess, I don't know where he would have observed crooks or the fake crooks from. Maybe that was even the real crooks. It's that wall right there, I would think. Ah, yeah, see, because those two are the windows that they're stationed in. Isn't it remarkably coincidental that we'd have him standing right by? Is this the wall? I mean, let me see. How many angles of this wall can we see and determine later when we're looking at that blurry, low-resolution photo that hopefully my lawsuit will get us a better image of? They're probably like, hey, who is this guy walking around? Maybe it's that wall over there. So is he photographing him out of this window? These guys are dancing all around American Glass Research. I think I'm about to be confronted by an employee here. I'd say it's this wall. Let's just see if we can get footage before I get kicked out. I think it's this wall that Crooks is hanging out at. There's the park bench or whatever. We've got these stairs here. Yeah, it must be this, by door lucky number 13. I think that's where the photograph of Crooks is taken. I would think. I don't know. If this was New York, I would get kicked out of here by now. I can't believe the lack of security at this site. It's a good thing I have no ill intent. I got no beef with American Glass Research. Well, I think it's a Masonic something or other. And I don't know. There we go. So we've just learned a lot about that window. And by the way, people are going to be annoyed that I didn't walk right up to it and look and see if it can open. So, okay, I've looked at some more debate on this last night. Some people are saying, oh, I don't know, I'm not a window expert, but it's some bay window, some other kind of window that can open, can't open. Here's the thing. Even if you have the exact same window at your house from the same manufacturer and yours opens, how do you know 20 years ago these guys weren't installing it and they said, oh, they forgot some part. All right, well, let's just screw it shut. Let's seal it with Bondo. Let's glue it with Gorilla Glue. We don't ever want this window to open. Let's weld the damn thing shut. The point of the matter is, Clay Higgins, he's a representative in Congress. He came here. He investigated that window. He used to be a cop, so he's not some dope. He's a guy with professional investigative skills. He looked at it. And he was here days after the incident. He said it wasn't broken. It hadn't been recently replaced. He interviewed the person whose office it is, and they said it's never opened in 10 years, 20 years. What was the testimony? And on top of all that, it is not seen open in the video in question. So, what the hell is going on with all this debate? Now, I want people to observe the side of this building. Do we see these vertical lines? That's a consistent pattern. This does not look like a recently replaced window to me. It's got dirt on it. There's rust here in the corner. Even though it looks like it might open, I don't know anything about installing windows. That tape on it looks old. This window's been here for a long, long time. Okay? And people are going to say, no, I looked at the video, and in the upper left-hand corner, it looks like there's smoke. Let me explain again for the dense. Video compression, it relies on a delta scheme, a delta frame scheme, meaning a computer analyzes not just the frame as it does with the JPEG photo made from something like an HEIC image from Detective Gian Vito's phone, because that's just a single image. There's discrete cosine transformation and other things that happen, color decimation, to make the photo smaller so that it occupies less space on a computer disk or being transmitted over the internet. These are compression schemes that have existed since the 1980s that I'm aware of. And there are more modern ones now that do wavelet things and whatever. But as far as I'm aware, HVEC and H.264, these kind of things, they basically are comparing the first frame to the second frame to the third frame. And you see how this sky, it's all basically the same over my head. So instead of storing 30 pictures of this sky for every second of video, this complex computer algorithm is going to say, gee, Jason's mouth is moving like a fucking motor, as it always does. So we got a lot of changes over here and not a lot of changes over here. So we need more data around this area and less up here. So from frame to frame, the delta, the difference is low, and therefore the data is low. Okay? Now these are algorithms. They have certain rules about how things generally work. They understand that this is a pretty common type of shot that you would have in a video. Somebody in the center of the frame talking with a particular area of the frame not changing a lot. Now, when you get an epileptic moron like Unsteady Dave shaking around like crazy, photographing, excuse me, we're talking now about the police body cam. The police body cam also uses the same type of compression schemes. I'm leaving. No, I don't think so. I'm leaving. Have a nice day. Do you know if Mason started this place? And then you can't help me. Perfect timing. Just in time to GTFO. How do we like the logo on that? Looks like the U.S. Army Corps of Reserves. Or engineers. That was perfect timing. Kicked out right on time. Anyway, the police body cam, the guy's moving around pretty erratically. It's a super wide lens. There's a lot of stuff changing in there. Plus, I've stabilized it, so what you see looks like it's not moving around that much, but it actually is. So there's all this delta happening around those vertical lines, which the scheme expects them to remain straight, and when they aren't, it becomes confused and certain artifacts get introduced. It's breaking the compression, and it's not how it's supposed to work. But that's what makes it look like smoke. Blocky areas that are changing frame to frame because there's not enough data to properly represent what that thing is supposed to look like. So that right there was a lesson in video compression, motion parallax. The last thing I want to say is, the empirical evidence that it's not muzzle flash is that the muzzle flash of a gunshot, it's the residual heat and light and energy from an explosion that happens inside the cartridge of a bullet. What do you call a projectile and the cartridge inside a gun? Gun people know what I'm talking about. The hammer in your gun hits the thing that ignites the chemical gunpowder inside there and creates an explosion in the barrel of the gun and sends the projectile down the barrel out the front of the gun. Gas and heat energy shoot out the front and you see a flash. But this is a chemical explosion that takes place over between 1/500th and 1/1000th of a second, according to the internet. And when you are running a police body camera at 30 frames per second, even in a very low light situation where the camera has the ability to keep the shutter open for the entire duration of an entire video frame, that's 1/30th of a second. That wasn't happening in the middle of the day in July. A camera like that will use a high shutter speed to compensate for too much light, exposing the sensor for less than 1/30th of a second, maybe even much less. The point of the matter is, even if it's open the whole entire time, there's only 1/30th of a second per photograph that has an opportunity to even see that 1/500th of a second event. 1/500th of a second is a much smaller amount of time than 1/30th of a second. So if something happens in 1/500th of a second, if your shutter happens to be open during that 1/500th of a second, you'll see it. But then the shutter closes and we go to the next frame and that event is over. So there's no fucking way on earth, since the invention of firearms and motion picture cameras, that a muzzle flash is being recorded over more than one, maybe two, if the event happens right in the middle. It's super unlikely. One frame is all you're getting of muzzle flash at 30 frames per second. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great day.
And that's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed tonight's rabbit hole. And if you haven't already, please take a second
just to smash that like, subscribe, ring that notification bell,
just to make sure the algorithm knows what's up. So what we gonna do, y'all? That's right. Run these numbers up. Thanks again. Until next time.